Good afternoon, guys. This is Straight Talk with me, Mike G, for Mr. GTV and MrMikeGarner.com, and this is my point of view. Straight talking about what's going on in the world briefly for your consideration. Do your research. With things changing so rapidly in the world just at the moment, take a look at the trial that's taking place. It's December 2022. So you might have heard it here first. But they're bringing in zones where you can travel, on trial it is, but trust me, where there's a trial, there's an intention to limit people's movements so that you have to get a permit to go out of a perimeter of about 15 minutes or maybe 5 to 10k. And I've mentioned before on my Mr. GTV YouTube channel about 5k and 10k towns, and then when I mentioned it, people said, take off your tinfoil hat, Mike, it'll never happen. I've said before also, and I posted that I think with all these new pronouns, my pronoun isn't so much as a conspiracy theorist, it's I told you so. And I'm not trying to be clever, and this straight talk is for your consideration. Do your research. I'm sharing this with love, but sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind, and it's not cruel to tell the truth or to ask you to do your research and find the truth, because the 10k and 5k towns are zones where you will be able to operate from a central hub within a county or a province or a district where it's deemed that you have to stay, and they'll know where you are because they're going to have electronic gates. That's what they're doing in Oxford in the trial. Biometrics, facial scanning. They can track your car through your number plate like they've practiced with average speeds on motorways, and they know exactly where you are and what you're doing. And if you go out of your permitted perimeter, you need a permit. You have to ask permission, and then the powers that be, and we know what the powers that be do with all sorts of draconian rules recently imposed over the last 2 or 3 years, pushing the limits of what a government can impose on a population that's supposed to be a democracy. And I've always said that's doubtful, that we have a perception of a democracy, but it's not a reality. And we've got a situation where, you know, if you want to nip down the road and see your mum or your grandparents or a friend, I think you're allowed sort of 15 times in the trial to do that. But if you leave that vicinity without a good reason, accidentally or not, you're fined. They've got cameras, they've got these electronic gates, and trust me, if it's trialled, it'll be imposed. They're not doing these things in certain areas without the intention of bringing it out into the general population. And what does that mean? Well, it means that you're going to have to ask permission, get a permit, and then it will be considered by the powers that be, and that means it can be refused. And it's all being done, hesitant to use the word because I could be fact checked or deleted or have a strike against my name, which is a new thing that we've all sort of accepted, haven't we? But really shouldn't be accepting these things. We should be voting out the governments, parliaments that are imposing this legislation. This is censoring the narrative, but it's all being done, we'll use the word pollution. But let me tell you, there's more pollution from the tyres on the tarmac than there is from what comes out of a modern car, or particularly an electric car. That there's more pollution, and do your research, don't take my word for it, that the rubber that's left on the road is more of a negative carbon footprint and more carcinogenic than what comes out of most modern cars. In fact, when they brought out catalytic converters in my time in motor engineering, they were saying that they were so refined, these emission systems and catalytic converters, that you could virtually drink the water that came out of an exhaust. It was toxin free. So it's all bullshit, guys. It's all bullshit, like electric cars is bullshit. Lithium batteries have a terrible carbon footprint. Unsafe. Using slave labour, child labour, slave labour, cheap labour in foreign countries, and then these batteries have to be shipped over. I mean, it's just a con. And they're trying to save the grid, we're being told, so they can cut off your electricity, which is your charging point, and now you're stuffed with your electric car. And when you can't protest because of the online safety bill and new legislations to public order that are being brought out as we speak, end of 2022 December, we won't have a voice to be able to complain or explain in what's called a democracy, but I've already told you that I don't think it is. And now these 6k and 10k zones trialled. Watch this space, you heard it here first. The proposal is they'll be spreading the trials during 2024 with the intention to implement them by 2025. The implementation within your lifetime of you having to ask permission to leave your home and drive in a vehicle that you own, spending money that you've earned and pay taxes on, from a government that we're told you've democratically voted in, who are supposed to implement acts of parliament and statutes on your behalf. And who's agreed to any of this? Who thinks it's a good idea that we have to ask permission to go to another city, another town, another area in excess of 10k? Because that's what's going on. Did you know? Just Google it, check it out. If you want to chat, I'm here for that. And in the same way that you've just seen me on this journey and heard my point of view and seen things through my windscreen from my point of view, in the duration of this conversation, I've gone 2.5k. If I double that or quadruple that, that would dictate the distance that I can go in a city centre, in an urban or a rural setting, without asking permission. They would judge whether or not that journey is essential or non-essential, in the same way that essential workers were able to break restrictions recently, and non-essential workers had to go home and stay at home. This is what they want, guys. Have you noticed that all the adverts from McDonald's and KFC are all encouraging Uber Eats, stay at home and get a delivery? When have you ever known a restaurant encouraging you not to eat on their premises? They're actually telling you in certain adverts that your sofa is more comfortable than their supplied hospitality seats in their restaurants. Never been known before, has it? Never been known before. Just ask yourself why. There's a global agenda and there's a centralised agenda. Check it out. Have a chat. Get back to me when you thought it through, but be open-minded. This is straight talking. And a lot of people say to me, why are you worried about this? Because don't you preach that this is just an illusion? Yes, it is, but it's a consensus. In other words, we're all connected in the oneness, and we're all projecting this, creating this. And while you're complying to this, while you're acquiescing and going along with it, there'll be more of it, because the strong-minded people are powerfully using mass hypnosis, which is creating mass psychosis, fear, which is FEAR, which is fantasized expectations appearing real, which is the acronym, false expectations appearing real, and they're telling you what to do. And when you say yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full sir, you're going to get more of this. This is where we need to be single-minded, get together in a singularity, strong-minded, and visualize a different illusion in this reality. And that's a different subject. And if you want to know more about that, I'm here for a chat, or go to Mr. GTV either on YouTube, #reality, or Mr. GTV Facebook group community, which is growing. Thank you guys. Let's keep this real. Let's keep this reality the projection that we want, not what dark forces want, in my opinion. And we need to stand up and fight metaphysically with visualization, affirmation, verbalization, not violence, but definitely strong-mindedness. You have a powerful mind, use it or lose it. Comments in the comments box below, like, share. Let's get this news out, guys. Do your research. Don't settle into cognitive dissonance. Be powerful. Take care. Check back for my next Straight Talk with me, Mike G, for free on Mr. GTV.